ex-wife taught first grade in a school district known mostly for trailer park crime. At Christmas, she had her kids write stories about the best thing about the holidays. One extremely impoverished kid wrote that he was excited that Santa was going to let him pick out a single box of cold cereal that would be his and his alone, and he could pick from anything in the grocery store. Mom was dead-ass broke, working 2 jobs trying to make ends meet, and food stamps were the only ways she could get her 3 kids a present. She played this up and the kids got excited about this. Heard just last week from behavioral, emotional support student. Yeah, me. Wow, that's a pretty good score. Great job, student. Yeah, but I got % wrong. Mom's not gonna be happy about that. Yeah, but this is honestly a good score for you. It's over half, student. I know, but whenever I tell her I got like 20 out of 30, my mom always says, but you still got 10 wrong. And I'm like screaming in my head, why can't you be happy for me for finally getting a good grade? Yeah, heartbreaking. Well, if she won't say it, I will. This is an awesome score for you. I mean, this is a brand new concept the teacher just introduced today and you rocked out this score after only hearing it once. You did rockin' awesome. The little smile they gave at that, ugh, just killed me. Not me, but wife. A couple years ago, a grade 3 kid whose birthday was coming up was saying how he didn't deserve a birthday, that he was a speck of dirt, that he was bad. It took a while, but my wife was able to figure out that when he was in grade 1 and at his birthday celebrations, his dad stabbed his monsieur. He had internalized this into somehow being his fault because it happened on his birthday. It was his fault that his dad was in jail and that his mom was so severely injured that she could no longer work. It was his fault that they had to move into a much smaller place. Really tough to hear. Kids should not have to deal with this garbage. Dunno if this counts as I'm the one that said it, but I had a pretty tough time at school. I had almost no friends and buried myself in my studies. My tutor was this tiny angry Welshman called Mr. Evans, who I didn't think even noticed I existed as. I just kept my head down and had no interest in either of his subjects. Flash forward 5 years and I'm working a part-time retail job whilst paying to learn accountancy at a local college. One random Sunday he walks in, but Mr. Evans. He notices me, looks surprised and comes over to talk. We shoot the garbage for 5 minutes or so as he basically asks me how I'm doing, what I've done since 6th form, etc. Before he goes, I tell him I'm surprised he remembers me after all this time, considering all the kids that must have come and gone since then. He looks me in the eye and says, "You always remember the ones you worry about. You once spent 10 minutes in one of my lessons arguing with me about what the point of anything was in the politest way possible. It's great to see how well you're doing now." The first time a student ever told me they were being abused by their monsieur, she asked to talk to me after class for advice, and I didn't think anything of it. She told me she had a track meet that day and wanted to know what she should do about concealing the bruises on her legs because she had to wear shorts. And I said, well, if you got them from practice then people will understand, and that's when she told me her mom got drunk and beat her and her twin sister. I know she was trying to find a way to tell someone, anyone, she was being abused, and she picked me. The conversation afterward was very hard because she didn't want me to tell anyone, and I am legally mandated to do so. And B, I felt so horrible, and someone needed to help these girls. She begged me not to tell anyone, got on her hands and knees, and then screamed at me in anger when I told her how sorry I was and that I had to. I cried for like 3 hours after that, and #X200B. Edit. Spelling afterwards. I'm a fluffing idiot. The young man had just received his scores on his ACT. They weren't good, and he felt his dream of being a police officer were over. The kid is 17. just go his life rammed by a stupid butt test. It makes my blood boil how much stock we put into the darn test is a joy to have in class. Spent all of his lunches with me going over content he didn't understand. Is well liked. Works 40 hours a week. Is a productive member of society. And is just an overall good kid. And a darn test says he's not good enough. I had a kid with a rare brain disorder where, according to his doctor, one half of his brain was 2 years behind and one was 2 years ahead of schedule. Or something like that. Couldn't find any info about it online. This resulted in unusually strong academic ability but very poor emotional regulation. One day on the playground a little guy was doing some homework. I looked at him and said something to the effect of "Go be a kid." He said, "Well, I don't have time to be a kid." A little background. His mother makes him spend a lot of time at home doing brain trains, little cognitive exercises, to support the hemisphere of his brain that is underdeveloped. These are time-consuming and challenging. So, what he said hit me hard. Don't even know why. Kid is mature but the genetic lottery stripped him of his youth. Edit. 2nd grade. Best student in the general chemistry class, by far, living in his car because he was basically disowned by his parents when they found out he was gay. He ended up sleeping on my couch and another instructor's couch for a month while we sorted out his financial aid and got him into some student housing. I did a FBA, functional behavior assessment, on a 2nd grader with emotional impairment. When I asked him the question, "Who at school likes me?" he couldn't answer and wouldn't stop staring at the floor. When I told him that I liked him, he started crying. Edit. Holy cow, this blew up. If you are interested in emotional impairment in schools, I would recommend the book, Lost at School. https www.amazon.com/lost-school-behavioral-challenges-falling/dp/151135948x. It's very interesting. It's not hard. I'm just really tired, said to me by a little girl in tears as she refuses to do the work I gave her. I work at an international preschool in Japan and it's insane what some of these kids do before they're even in elementary school. This girl went to our school 9 to 2:30 every day and then had math school 2 times a week, singing class, puzzle class. Yes, that's a real thing here. Music lessons, piano I think, and gymnastics. She was in preschool, mind you. I asked a student what she was good at. She thought for a moment with a sad face and said, "Nothing, government." Then we're not doing a good enough job letting her discover her talent. I work as a paraprofessional for kids in grades K-5, and I kind of hop around from kid to kid and help wherever I can. A lot of my one-on-one students are special education or have learning disabilities. So my approach to working with them is being open to their interests and talking to them in between work. You'd honestly be surprised how well this works. Just letting them tell you about their day or fortnight or their weekend. Now I have had issues with stuff like this with a few kids, but the one that sticks out to me is this boy in my 5th grade class. He has both learning disabilities and issues with emotional processing. He's a very large kid at 10 years old, taller than I am. One day I come into the room to find him sullen and quiet and I ask him if he'd like to come out in the hallway and talk to me. At a bit of probing he told me that one of the kids in his class told him he should die, that nobody likes him. At one point he just whispers, "I just want someone to love me." It absolutely broke my heart. I struggle with feelings of not feeling loved myself, so I went told him, "You know I love you, right? You're my friend and I always look forward to seeing you every day." Quote. We ended up taking a walk around the school just chatting to get his mind off things, and I told the social worker, ever since then he's been one of my best students. Yes, he still doesn't want to do his work, but he's always excited to see me, and one day when I came to class with a pulled bicycle in my leg. He helped me walk to his seat and pulled out a chair for me. It's honestly one of the moments in my life where I feel I made a difference. I used to teach in an alternative high school. A lot of kids from rough areas, many on probation, etc. One day, I had students writing a journal prompt about where they thought they'd be in 5 years. One of them told me, in all seriousness, that he assumed he'd be dead in 5 years. He was 15 and he had recently been inside his house when his uncle and brother were shot and killed. On the front porch, he honestly couldn't see any other future for himself outside of their footsteps. And #X200B. I left that school shortly after, but I think about that kid all the time. A first grade student told me out of the blue, "My favorite thing about you is you're never on your phone."